Good morning, my friends. So, first of all, I just want to say happy birthday to Heather McKay. Heather is one of our frequent flyers on this morning get together, and she's works with me, and she's a good friend of mine, a dear friend of mine, and it's her birthday today. So, happy birthday! And speaking of birthdays, today is my mother's birthday as well. And my mom passed away a few years ago, and I I see her everywhere. I I know that that I have done some studying on signs from people, right? So people who give signs from the other side. And I am a believer in that. And many people are not. So if you are not, then you may not want to listen to the rest of this because or if you are like discouraged by people who believe in it or disgusted in it, right? Then you might want to go off. But I just want to kind of share with you some of the things that my mother did. First, I want to tell you what she was like. My mother had 7 kids, and my dad, who you all know and you see sometimes on here, and so she was a nurse, right? And she was a nurse, and she became a nurse. Her dad had died very young. Her mother remarried. She had to, I think she got a scholarship to go to college. She had to work really hard for what she wanted. And it was a time that, it didn't look like those kinds of things were going to be possible. And anyway, so she marries my dad. And again, he's a very big personality. So my mother, for many of us, played like the supporting role play. She was always supporting him. She, as children, she, would not miss any of our events. She would be at things. She worked the 11 to 7 shift so that she could see us off in the morning and be awake when we got home and that kind of thing. And just a really crazy kind of life of service. And, um, and I will say that she did not take the best care of herself. And she put all of herself's needs behind ours. And you know what? And when the time came that she left us, I think she was tired. I think she was tired and she was ready to go. Um, but that is one of the reasons why I do things like drink this, right? Because I want to try to make myself as vibrant and strong and get as much as I can out of my life. And I too love being a mother, kind of like she did. So anyway, I see signs like so yesterday I sat down at the computer, and my computer has one of those for the backdrops of what, like the screensaver, that it goes finds pictures and it just randomly puts pictures out. And it put out a picture of her that I believe I took. So when we heard that she might be going, I guess I was at a conference and I flew home right away, and I rented a car at the airport, and we went to the hospital, and I spent the night with her. And I have a picture of her laying in a hospital bed, and I'm pretty sure it was that night. And and I see a woman that was tired and ready, like, and exhausted and ready to go. And my dad comes in the this was yesterday, so she comes to see me, and my dad and again, I have not seen that picture since I took it. And my dad comes in, and he looks at the camera. I mean, he looks at the back screen I show him, and he's like, "Oh," and he's like touching it, and he's like, he doesn't see a tired woman ready to go. He sees this beautiful bride. And I was like, "Wow." Like, there's so much that we that that we interpret when we look at things and that we take meaning out of. And anyway, so a couple and again, so she shows up, and so I just sat down again, and I was thinking as I was coming in today, like I used to, when I would hang out with her at her house, when she was like, we used to watch, like when she had her stroke, we all took shifts. And when I was there, I did my thank you notes, and I was thinking of how much joy thank you notes brought me, and how I love them and I need to do more of them. So I come into the office and I sit down, and over, if you, I don't know if you can see this, over in my little pile of papers that I can't get to the bottom of are some cards with her name on them that I had made for her, right? So okay, it says Geraldine Lanigan on there. And so so I'm like, okay, mama, I get it. Like, write notes, use your cards. Like, let's do this. Don't get away from that atomic habit. And and I'll just share with you like one more story about like how she shows up sometimes. Two stories maybe. And so there was one time that I was in a disagreement with one of my daughters, and I was so frustrated. And I was like, and I did not want to say the wrong thing, and I did not want to. And so I just went over to like a countertop in my house, and I like put my hands there, and I just like like just wanted to not do something wrong, right, in this moment. And I look down again on a pile of papers, and I pick up this paper that's there. And my mother was my daughter's sponsor for her confirmation. And what I found was her confirmation letter that she had written to my daughter, the daughter that I was struggling with. And it talked about how wonderful my daughter was in my mother's eyes. And I'm like, I have never seen that letter, ever saw that letter. I don't know how that letter got there. But it came at a moment that gave me the answer for me on what to do in that moment with my daughter. So, there's just different times that this happens. And it's, all the kids, we all have like stories about how she shows up for us. And I think to myself, she is living her best life. I don't know. Anyways, I'm off topic. I don't really know what my message was today, but I felt like I wanted to share the idea of why I do the time and money freedom. And it becomes because I want time freedom, and I want to be able to create a life that gives me that time freedom, that money freedom, and my contribution to my business, but also my contribution to the rest of the world. Two things happened this week. One was I was with a snowstorm. Kind of gives us a little eye opener about exactly how those creaky little joints of ours work, right? So I was in a situation where I was on the snowmobile, and I tipped the snowmobile over, and not on purpose, of course. I was in a rut, and I was like caught in the snow. So my leg was down into the rut, right, and my other leg, thank you yoga every morning, was up on top of the snowmobile, right? So I was like kind of like leaning there, and I was holding that kind of the snowmobile up, but I'm like, all right, this joint down here does not want me to move. And I could get out. I wanted to hold it up, so I was waiting, but I was like, oh, this is so precarious. And I was like, so these little tiny little movements that are just not as vibrant as they used to be. And things take a little longer. Getting into my husband's truck is hard, believe it or not. So I want to be the best I can to enjoy the life that I have, and squeeze every little moment out of it. And the other thing was, and this is not related, but sort of related, is someone just joined our company. Her name is Sherry, and she's super nice. And she was referred over by a friend of mine, Chris Medeiros, who owns Cocopelli Realty. And when Chris and Sherry shared this with me last night when we were doing training, the letter the email that Krista had said when she had referred her to us, right? And she said, Kate is a mother. Kate is a wife. Kate is a person who is not money hungry. She's a person who cares for the people she works with. She's a person who is a MAR leader. And so she went on and said like the nicest things about me. And I was like, all right, I'm fired up. I want to walk my walk and talk my talk. So happy birthday, Heather. Happy birthday, Mom. I want to see, so I want to put on my glasses because I see a couple messages. And one is Miss Maggie, who's also a mother to so many of us. And so Michelle Barry. Hi, Michelle. Michelle is my sister's best friend and a huge family of the friend. And she said, I didn't even know I was on LinkedIn. Just got the live notification. Happy birthday, Nema. Love you, Katie. And Maggie says, I totally agree with taking care of ourselves so we can be our best self for as long as possible. And, I have comfort in the fact that my belief that my mother is living her best life, and she's not tired there, and she's not in pain, and whatever she's doing, she's shenanigans around and leaving cards for me to find to get back to my big why, and be again and do the best I can do. So thank you, Michelle, for joining. So you being here, Michelle, is another sign. I'm just saying. All right. I will talk with you all tomorrow. Make it an amazing day. Thank you so much for being here.